Hello and welcome to this week's edition of the Angels and Destiny show. Now, why is this show called Angels and Destiny, you may ask? Well, the accepted meaning of angel is messenger, and the accepted meaning of destiny is to make, firm, establish. So my guests and I bring you messages to establish what you need to know in the present. And also, I like working with angels and the calmness they bring. Now, in a moment, I will introduce you to my wonderful guest, Raphael Rey, who is bringing a different aspect of energy to the spiritual world. But before that, I would like to say thank you for watching the show live or at a later date, as it means a lot to me to connect with like-minded women. If you've never met me before, then my name is Ray, and I help women at a crossroads in their life, transform their past, create their future, transform their present, so they can take control of their destiny in the here and now. I'm the founder of Radiant Angel Energy, and I use Angelic Reiki, future life progression, past life regression, meditation, angel cards and hypnosis to help women who feel lost get clear on their destiny. I've also created a transformational journey to help you take charge of your destiny. Now, each episode of this show will cover various themes of your journey, a mini guided meditation or angel card reading with the wisdom of my wonderful guests, like today's guest, Raphael Rey, who will be imparting his wisdom about planning your lifescape using your sacred imagination to help you with your calling, your passion, to be of service to the world and to make that your reality. He wants to bring spiritual wisdom, insight and understanding to people for their everyday lives, making the spiritual practical and the practical wonderful. Raphael is the founder of Radiant Reality, which is REYDIANT, not like my Radiant Angel Energy. And he uses astrology, cards, past life regression, future life progression, and his intuition to bring us Aquarian wisdom for the new age of love, light, and learning. He has a YouTube channel where he now has over 30,000 subscribers, plans to write a book, and a growing demand on his services, with testimonials such as, "You're one of my favorite readers on YouTube. I love how you inspire your readings. You are truly a gift. Please keep doing what you're doing, and very, very happy to have found you. I'm still flabbergasted about how you picked up every detail without one question from me. Truly a gift." So without further ado, hello, Raphael, and welcome to the Angels and Destiny show. How are you today?
Hi, Ray. I'm great. It's wonderful to be here. I'm so grateful. I love the sound of everything that you do as well. For me, that's the whole point of us being here, right? That's our service to humanity, to help elevate them in some way. And also to give them back their, to remind them to take their own power. And I really love that. I think it's great. So very happy to be here.
Brilliant.
Yeah, I think it's going to be great.
Yep. And we say hello to Mary, who said hello and good evening to all. Hello, Mary. So before we get into this fascinating conversation, then whether you're watching this live or the recording, then please hit the like, love button, as I love watching hearts and thumbs flashing across the screen. And if you're watching this on my YouTube channel, then give it the thumbs up and subscribe to it so you can get updates on all recordings. You can also ask questions, leave comments and thoughts, as both Raphael and I want you to be part of this conversation, so please do not be shy. So Raphael, why don't you tell us more about yourself and then how planning your lifescape using sacred imagination can help women take control of their destiny?
Okay, awesome. So I am, as you mentioned, I'm a tarot reader. That is the basis of all of my work. And I'm branching that out into astrology as well, because I really believe that the two work amazingly well together. I started my journey with Reiki, massage and all that in terms of the holistic arts. And before that, I was a performing artist, and it just kind of seems to have always been there in terms of dreams, intuition. I always had a deck of cards hanging around somewhere, and it's kind of just grown with me, and I'm really grateful for that. I've just recently started to incorporate FLP and past life regression as well. Shout out to Anja.
Yeah, definitely, Anne.
Absolutely, that's how we know each other as well,
yeah.
Which is great, and it's building that community and that that spiritual understanding between like minds on an everyday level. So yeah, that's a bit about me.
Oh, I think can you still hear me?
Oh, yes, I can.
Yeah,
sorry.
Yeah, that's okay. You suddenly disappeared on me for a little while. You've gone into slow motion. Tell us more about, planning your lifescape. Lifescape. What is it? What does it mean?
Yeah. Okay, so your lifescape is effectively the path that you carve out throughout your lifetime, right? So we've all got a life path, I believe. We've all got a journey and a destiny to take, and your lifescape is it's effectively the life that you build on that path, on that journey. And because each one of our lifescapes is unique to who we are, I believe that your sacred imagination is a big part of that, and really incorporating a lot of the FLP stuff has really helped me get an understanding of that. And I think from a personal perspective, I've always understood that intuition was very real. Recently I've been trying to debunk some of this, like the idea of the old lady psychic in the back shack of the woods and all of that stuff, and bringing it more into everyday life, because we are human beings. We've got real life, practical world stuff to do on a daily basis. And I really want to start to let people know that you can be spiritual and real world at the same time. And actually they complement each other. When you start to really play with that thought, it becomes quite interesting how much you can, and I put the air quotes in, manifest, right?
Yeah, most definitely, and I do think that you can combine both together. It's the same as you can combine every single thing, like my paganism and the angels. They blend quite nicely into each other, and with the future life and past life, that blends quite. So everything all blends in together, and I do think it's good that more and more people are not seeing different spiritualities, different modalities as separate, that they're actually all beginning to see them more as one and actually working together.
Yeah, absolutely. I absolutely love that. And really that's where it's at. It's funny you say that as well, because it leads me quite nicely to one of the points that I wanted to make. So in terms of like, when I talk about sacred imagination, it sounds quite lofty, but to simplify it and bring it down to the real world, your sacred imagination is your intuition. The two things are totally interlinked. And, like I was talking about debunking this idea of the old lady psychic, and sort of showing people that intuition isn't just for people that are mothers or people that are, in the woods and wearing all kinds of cloaks and daggers and stuff, even though that's actually my department.
Yeah.
Totally there. Love it.
Yeah, that one.
But, to bring it into the real world, to say to people that actually your intuition is a deeply human phenomena. It is integrated into your entire being, like these phrases that we hear, I felt it in my gut, or, the hairs on the back of my neck stood up. That's your intuition speaking. It's a very real, integrated human experience and human faculty. It's something that we all have. And I think because of the way that the world is, or kind of, squashed some of that out of us, now our intuition only tends to speak up when it really needs to save us from something. It does that whole fight or flight.
Yeah.
Whereas what I like to show people is that actually you can utilize that faculty if you can get conscious with it and start to move it and work with it and speak to it and direct it. You can move it towards certain things and it will give you information on those things. And very often the information that it brings back has a prophetic feel to it, because it's like, oh my gosh, I thought this, I saw this, I felt this happen. And then when it happens, you're like, oh my God, I've always said,
yeah.
The day I stop being surprised and amazed by the things that I can foresee is the day I'll probably stop doing it. Because, that's the wonder for me. No matter how, accurate you are, it's always that, oh my gosh, like, wow, it's real and it's validated for you at every step. I love that.
Yeah. It's absolutely amazing the way your intuition does sort of like interact with everything. And just quickly say, we've got a few people that have been saying hello: Teresa Walsh, Jetta Jones, Mary Tilling, Lisa Ritzy White. So thank you all for watching. And if you've got any questions, then please do post them, and either Raphael or myself will try and answer them for you. And so So intuition, you know, because some people find it difficult, you know, to trust, or how do they get in touch with their intuition, and that, you know, how would you sort of like put that?
I love that. I love that. And it's very true. You know, this goes back to this whole conditioning aspect of modern life. You know, it is very early kind of squashed out of us. And I just want to say quickly hi to everybody as well. Nice to have you. Thank you so much for joining us. It's wonderful to have you. So let's take it back to basics. When we're kids, we can play in a pit of dirt and visualize the most intricate castle, and it will have moats and lakes, and you can see dragons and Pegasus horses flying and stuff. You get all of that. And then as you get older, yeah, unicorns, absolutely, love them. And then as you get older and you're told, stop dreaming, stop daydreaming, it kind of slowly but surely gets knocked out of you. So if you can take yourself as an adult back to that moment where you just kind of stop, kind of build a picture in your mind and let that kind of run with itself. And that is you tapping into, yes, it's your imagination, but your intuition and your imagination are very, very closely linked, because they both come from and stem from inspiration. Right. And I think that's what I'm trying to get across to people.
Yeah. So sort of like, how do you go about planning your lifescape using your sacred imagination? You know, if someone wants to do it, how do they do it?
Okay, so think about something that you know, and this is one of the things I think a lot of us nowadays, we make lists. You know, some people do this setting goals or building the vision board and all of that stuff. And it really is great, but it kind of just stops there. You know, and they stop building into it. So it's one thing to have the goal. Have you thought about what it's going to be like on the journey to having it, or what it's going to be like to actually having it? You've got to build that picture. You've got to put that energy into it. And ultimately, when you're building your lifescape, effectively what you're doing is pushing your intuition and your imagination into what it's going to be like to have that. And when you tap into it, that's when I really feel that the emotion starts to come, when you can really visualize it. You know, a lot of people say like, oh, feel it, and then the vision will come. And I'm like, that doesn't really feel right for me. Like, I feel like you've got to be able to see it and then it will come. And I have a lot of people say, oh, you know, but I can't connect to my imagination or my intuition. And I say to them, start small. Whatever you can picture in your life, whatever you can visualize in your mind. And for some people, I've had people say, I see it here in my mind. I've had people say, I see it here in my heart, you know, and play with that concept. How does it happen for you? You know, intuition, I mean, there are so many different forms. You've got clairaudience, clairvoyance, clairsentience. You know, everybody intuits things in different ways. And it's just finding the way that works for you. And I think for everybody, playing with that concept, really having a moment just to think, how big can I take this? What do I actually want? And what would it be like having that? And what's the path that's going to take me on that? Because sometimes when you come back and then you go through the events, you look back and you think, that's exactly how I imagined it. Yeah. You know, and sometimes down to minute detail. And I think one of the biggest things as well I've got here is playing with desire. If you want something and you say you want it and you'd like to welcome it into your life, that's a desire, right? So you've already got a strong emotion to attack. So now you just need to build that vision, you know, and the two work in tandem. They really do.
Yeah, and because if you also think about it, you know, if there's something you don't want and you fret about it and you worry about it, 9 times out of 10, that will come into play because you're putting all your emotion and everything into that. So if you can do that without thinking about it, then if you start thinking about putting into play everything you do want, then, you know, that should work a little bit quicker for you and actually get the things you want rather than things you don't actually want, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. And I think, you know, that's a really good point that you touch on, because we put so much energy into the things that we don't want to happen. And, you know, ultimately that's a lot of wasted energy. If you can put it into directing your thoughts onto the things that you do want, you tend to sort of, it's almost like you manage to build a path through your intuition, you know, and so you're looking at where you want to get, and rather than seeing the problems, you'll start to work out what the solutions are, what the best steps are. There's two things that I want to share with you about intuition, and I try to give these to people, especially if they have trouble connecting with their intuition. So when you get that gut reaction, you know, it's like you're on a, you know, like you've gone over a bump too fast, or the roller coaster's just dropped down and your tummy just goes right down, that sort of jolt. That is your intuition saying it's probably not the right step for you. That's that gut reaction of, oh, you know what? No, that doesn't feel too, you know, to put it in fight or flight mode, it doesn't feel safe. Your intuition will give you the popcorn effect, which is like that real excitement in your chest of like, oh, you know, like I'm really excited. I don't know what's going to happen. Like, and then bam, surprise, it's amazing. The popcorn effect is your intuition saying yes. Yeah, go for it. That's the right way. So even if you have trouble connecting with your intuition massively, we can all recognize those two sort of feelings. And that really is your intuition speaking up and saying, right, okay, I'm going to give you a pointer here, and we all do it. We all ignore it, you know,
we do.
Whether it's good, you know, whether they're good hints or bad hints, we all ignore it, because that's the beauty of free will and choice. But your imagination, your sacred imagination, and your intuition can lead you to the best, and it can help you avoid some of the worst. It really, really can. And it just requires that self-belief and self-trust.
Yeah. And I think that's where a lot of people do have issues, is with the self-trust and with what they're feeling, or even thoughts that come into their mind. So I'm making that up. Was that real? Does it, you know, does it mean anything? And it is. We do all have difficulty sometimes trusting what we hear, see, feel, or think, don't we?
Absolutely, absolutely. And I hear a lot of that from people when they're on the end of a relationship or something, and they say, you know, I had a gut feeling that I shouldn't trust this person, or I shouldn't have gone down that route, and so it's like, you already know. It's just this whole thing about the don't stop daydreaming and don't be so silly. That's not right. That's not, and actually it is. It totally is. And in terms of moving forward with it, weaving your desires into your visions is a really important part of that. Your sacred imagination is there as a tool for you to use. It's there as, something that can effectively help you build that self-trust. Because 9 times, not even 9 times out, I say 9 times out of 10, because there's probably a part of me that doesn't want to admit that it's always right. 10 times out of 10, it's always led. Every time I've trusted my intuition, every single time it has led me down the right path, or kept me from a path that wasn't for me. And at the time, sometimes you might not understand it, and that's where the trust comes in.
It is a poor amount of trust. And Sieta has said that, I believe everything that comes along is meant to happen to prepare us for what is coming, positive or negative, it will play a part. Yes, love that popcorn feeling.
Yeah, me too. Me too. And sometimes I've had that feeling in the midst of things that have been quite challenging. And I've been like, I don't know how this is going to turn out all right. Like, come on, guys, I'm not sure you're making sense at the moment. And then when it does, I'm like, okay, fine. Universe one, Raph nil. We really do need to sort of like get out of our heads and start trusting the universe and everything with it. So would you say the best way of someone sort of like getting into their sacred imagination and weaving these everything they want into it, is it best to write it down? Is it to imagine it? Is it to draw it? What's the best way of actually doing that? That's a good question. I've had brilliant results from writing things down, some really powerful ones from writing things down. And it's not, it is as simple as writing it down, but it's also about the intent and the feeling that you're putting into it. That's just as important, you know, and almost like being so sure that it's going to happen. And when your intuition kicks in and gives you either the popcorn feeling or the you know, the roller coaster gut tummy, that's when you know, okay, right, so this is going to happen, and it's either going to be good or bad for me, you know, and I say relative good or bad.
Yeah.
And that intuition kicking in is what's going to tell you what will be on that path. So you've already chosen it. Your intuition will help you navigate it. And I think one of the really important things that I want to mention as well is striking when it strikes you.
Yes.
So, you know, when you get that sudden inspiration, that's an intuition. It's a download. It's something that's coming to you to say, this is a high path for you. And they'll never send you anything that isn't. I really believe that. Like I don't think I've ever had anyone say, oh, my intuition told me to do this, and it ended up somewhere, you know, negative for them. Whenever you get those intuitions, strike while the iron is hot, because it's being given to you for a reason. And one of the things that I've experienced on a personal level, and I've had clients experience as well, sometimes you'll have an amazing idea that seems to be, you know, literally just planted in your brain, and your intuition's off the charts, and it feels great, and you sit on the idea and do nothing with it. And 6 months later, you see somebody out there doing exactly what you'd been told to do, and it's like, but that was my idea. No, it wasn't. The universe needed to get that knowledge out, and you were the channel. If you didn't work or act on it, it was given to somebody else that was going to go with it when that moment was ready.
Yeah, which you know, that's just reminded me of something. I mean, we're going back years now to when I was a kid, and I was younger, and I remember watching, because I originally, when I was younger, I wanted to be an actress, so I was very into theatre and everything like that. But as all these things happen, my path took a completely different route. But I remember watching an old black and white version of The Phantom of the Opera, not the musical, but the original black and white film. And I got so involved in it, and because I was into theatre and that, and then I thought, oh my God, that would make such a brilliant musical. You could have this, you could have that. And what happened? A few years later, musical. Into musical. It's like, that was my idea.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, and I think it's happened to all of us in some way, shape, or form. And that's it. You know, when your intuition speaks up, take a listen, because it's really giving you something important. I find it really interesting that you were big into theatre as well, because before all of my Reiki and stuff, and going on to this path, obviously, I did performing arts. And it seems to be a lot of us come up that way. You know, we start this, you know, with that bubble, and we kind of evolve into something else, which is great. And I think probably a part of that is preparing us to be in the limelight to speak on certain subjects. You know,
I've actually thought about it that way, but that's one way. Lisa Ritzy White has put, I've noticed that special needs school encourage using your intuition, yet mainstream appears to try and stifle this. The latter is more about getting the info, to where the former helps you embrace yourself and trust your instincts, which is, you know, absolutely right. I think schools really should sort of like let you be a little bit more wild with your imagination. I mean, I don't know what they do in schools now, but I remember, you know, as a kid in junior and infant school, or infants and junior school, you had a playtime, you know, where you could play with the sand or the water or anything like that. And I don't know if they still do that these days or not, or whether they have a lot more of the academic stuff.
No, it's very true you say that, actually, and I really love what she wrote, because it's true. I know somebody that works in a SEN school as well, and they assigned one of the lessons for the week as intuitive studies, which I thought was phenomenal.
Brilliant idea.
It really is, because it allows, you know, whatever unique expression any child has to come forward. You know, we're not all raised in London theatres. There you go.
Yeah.
Absolutely, love it. I mean, there you go. You literally couldn't make this stuff up, and I think that is a big part of it. You know, tapping into your sacred imagination. You can do it through play, and play is a really, really good one. As I've rediscovered through a friend that I met through FLP. And she reminded me of something. She said, don't forget to play. And I was like, actually, yeah, that really works. And it really does. When you play, you're already excited. So if you've already got that emotion, you just got to channel it.
Yeah, and as kids, we do have such brilliant imaginations. Famous Five was my favourite book. And we had a swing in our garden, and we had a couple of walls, etc. And I used to be George. I'd by myself in the garden with Anne, Julie, and Dick, Timmy all around me. But I'd be using the swing as a climbing frame, or an adventure, and the wall as another thing. And a lot of people do sort of like that. And again, I suppose it goes back to the theatrical side as well, because you are playing as a character, you're allowing your imagination to run wild.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
That kind of like helps.
Yeah, and I think one of the other things about that is it takes the boundaries away for you. So the boundaries that I've got a job, and I've got responsibilities, and I've got bills to pay, and you'll always have that stuff. So why not blur those boundaries a little bit so that you can see what potentially else you could be and have. And FLP, hat off to Anne, because it's really given me a lot of that back. Of delving into stuff. And I mean, I've had some amazing personal, let alone with clients, results from it. And that really helped me cement this idea as well, that actually you have a sacred imagination, which is your intuitive faculty, which is written into everything that you are. And it's there to help you, and to bring you everything that you need to have and discover everything that you want, and I think that goes beyond the law of attraction, because you're actually actively participating in it. You're not just passively sitting back and it will come when it comes. You're making it happen by getting out there and leading with your intuition. Beautiful, absolutely beautiful.
It is, and that's the thing I've also had with Future Life, on myself, and when I've been working with clients, is that they might go, but am I imagining this? Am I making this up? And it's like, no, you're not. If you think about it, before computers, somebody had to have the idea for Apple. It was an idea, it's an imagination, it was a thought, and they just put that thought into reality. And that, so nothing is imagined. Everything you create starts as a thought or imagination, that you imagine something.
Literally, I couldn't have said it any better. And that is the absolute truth. Everything you see around you, the desk, the table, the chairs, the PC, laptop, phone that you're working, that you're watching this on right now. And, I mean, I know I talked about debunking some of the old lady psychic stuff, but as women, for all of your viewers, I want to say to you, not only are all of you wonderful, but all of you are deeply intuitive beings. It is one of the gifts that women bring to the world, to teach men, to teach children, whatever sex you are. Women are here to show us that trusting your intuition, being attuned to your surroundings and your own path, is a really high expression of how to use your spiritual energy. It really is. And every single one of you has this, whether you have children, whether you don't have children. Just by being who you are, it's already there, and trust it. And I mean, you hear that from women anyway. They're really dialed in. They tend to have that, your intuition and your sacred imagination is an absolute part of you. And in terms of when people say that, like, oh, am I just making it up? And it's like, well, I never gave you any prompts. Lisa, I never gave you any prompts. That all came from you. And very often it's people that are they come in, they're very quiet, and all of a sudden when you put them into where they need to be, in touch with their sacred imagination, the most amount of information comes through, and they're just like, okay, were you just sitting on all of that and you just decided to? I don't know anyone that has that good of an imagination that could just make all of that up, right?
Exactly. I mean, look at J.K. Rowling. Her imagination with the Harry Potter world and how that's developed into Fantastic Beasts, And that all from a little idea she had.
Absolutely. And she followed that, you know, that's
Yeah.
part of the intuition and the imagination, and the two really are linked. I don't think you can separate them. And that's why I don't think, you know, like when you go into a reverie about something and you imagine how events will go and what the communication will be like and what the conversation, how it will flow and the words that will be said, very often when you come back out of that and you go through the experience, the parallels are amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you know something? We could go on this conversation for absolutely ages, but we're sort of like, we've got a couple more bits to do. So is there any last minute things you want around wisdom you want to impart on everyone?
Self-trust is absolutely imperative. If you want your intuition to speak to you, you must trust yourself. That is a big part of it. You've got to listen. And by listen to your intuition, I don't mean necessarily do everything that it says, because like we said, sometimes it's not that it's not possible, but sometimes as humans, we think we know better. Right? So we'll not switch the faculty off, but we won't listen to what we're being told. Hear it and honor it. If it doesn't feel like a decision that you want to make, just at least acknowledge it. And I really think that's very important. I think in terms of that question, do you feel that intuition is also evolving? 100%. The human race itself is evolving, and
yeah,
therefore
very much
intuition
so.
has to happen with it.
Yeah, the vibration of Earth is definitely getting higher. Now, I know that some of you guys on the questions put some questions in about numerology. That's a subject for another day that we will actually come back to. I will actually get you to come back on that one. And I'm sure that Raphael will be quite happy to sort of like in the comments afterwards, you know, answer a couple of those for you in there and that. So I hope everyone you've found this, enjoyed it and found it very insightful, and the words of wisdom Raphael has given you will help you further on your journey. So Raphael, if people want to connect with you, how do they do that?
They can find me on YouTube. That is the biggest platform I have. My channel is called Radiant Reality, spelled REYDIANT. And my website is of the same name, just radiantreality.com. I often put on every third Sunday of the month, I do a live tarot read where I just pull one card for questions, just to give something back to my viewers. And in terms of everything else, monthly videos, big transit videos, just recently finished a numerology project on there, which I hope you will love.
Yeah, I've seen the numerology one. That was quite interesting. And especially as I mentioned, you, my life path was 8. So now, as you know, I do guided meditation and angel card reading. So each week I'm going to ask my guests, would you like a mini guided meditation or an angel card for you and yourself and those watching? So Raphael, what would you like me to do?
I'll take the angel card reading, actually.
Yeah, that's no problem. I will do that for you. And this isn't just for Raphael, this is for everyone watching either live or the replay. Now, those that know me know that I don't predict the future. I believe in the present, so although I work with the past, I use the past for healing to bring the healing into the present. And the future, I take people to the future, but to bring their future back to the present. So I work very much for what we need to know for our highest good in this moment in time. So just give the cards a quick shuffle and bless. So what does Raphael and everyone watching this show need to know for their highest good in this moment in time? Okay. We've got breaking trail. A breakthrough is at hand. I don't know if you can see. I'll get that right there. And that. So it's better there. So, I mean, the thing about the angel cards I love is that quite often you don't actually need to read them because they actually say what we all need to know. at the time. So Raphael, with what you're doing, you know, that breakthrough is coming, you know, is actually coming through. And everyone watching this as well, you know, whatever you're doing, you know, that breakthrough is there. Again, it's a case of bringing it back to using your intuition. It's kind of like taking notice of the earth and what's going around you at this moment in time. And just allowing that to help you soar, because things are, you know, to answer the question with intuition, yes, it's, you know, everything is evolving, getting better, but breakthrough is there for everyone. You just have to trust in the universe and believe that it's actually going to happen. So I'm really pleased that card actually came up today. And looking forward to hearing about all the great things that come in handy. So thank you so much for watching. I would like to invite you to share this video, as I'm sure there are more women who feel lost and want to get clear on their destiny just like you. Now, if you need help finding your destiny and getting clear on your path, then I would love to be that guide for you. Reach out and connect to me, as I would love to book a free 20-minute session with you for a quick chat, so I can find out more about you and how I can help you on your journey. And as said, any questions that we haven't got down or we haven't been able to say thank you to everyone, we will do that in the comments afterwards. And on the 5th of December, next Wednesday at 8 p.m. on this page, there will be a guided meditation to meet your guardian angel and a chance to catch up on any of the shows you may have missed. And then on the 12th of December, 8 p.m, I'll be having a conversation with my guest, Alexandra Wenman, who will be imparting her beautiful wisdom with us. And she has got a brilliant energy about her. So I'll see you all then, and thank you all so much for watching. Bye.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Raphael.
Thank you. Take care.